And if anybody knows her, you already know her. She's in the Jake's lineage. She had a conference, a women's conference, and her message was that God gives his strongholds. The strongholds are for strong women. And it's a clip. It's a clip that somebody sent me. And she was preaching to a stadium full of women. And she said that strongholds are for strong women. So everything that you go through, God gave it to you. And I know when I was in the church, that's what it was about. Hola. That's what it was. That God gives his strongest strongholds. They are meant for strong women. And even though she's talking to women, it can be for men too. That the strongholds that you had in the church, she's preaching it to millions, because not just the people that were in the conference that follow her, but she's speaking to thousands and millions of people, telling you that God gives you your strongholds, whatever you're going through, right? And then on the other hand, we have pastors saying, and even preaching, that God never fails. God never fails. And I have heard that song. I don't know the song because I don't do gospel music like that anymore. But at two of the most prominent cases that we've seen with Dream Girl Bree, if you know her, then you have the mother who lost the 8 children. At both of those funerals, the song was played, "He Never Fails." God never fails. And think about the statement. Even when we were in the church, we would hear it, "He'll never fail." And we just sitting in there, amen. He never fails. As everybody pretty much in the church is sitting in some kind of form of failure. So how does that line up? And I do allow pastors and ministers to come in the box. They should be in Bible study, but some of these new era pastors are switching their Bible studies to different nights. But, oh yes, I'll write that down. Thank you. And I do allow church leaders to come up in the box. I do not allow Christians, just lay people that sit in the pews, because there's nothing you can do. We're talking about emptying the pews, emptying their pockets, church boycott. We're going straight for the jugular, the leaders, and putting them, in the hot chair, in the hot seat. But how has God not failed? And I saw the memorial services for both of these families. The lady who lost all 8 children, right? Who lost all 8 children in Mississippi. And while this lady's sitting there in a state that probably none of us could ever fathom, they had her in a chair at the memorial service. And this man's in the back, "He'll never fail. God won't fail." And I'm sitting there like, he literally failed. So it's one of two things. Either that type of God does not exist, which I'd rather raise my hand and say, "Yay, I vote for that one," than to know that one does exist and sits there. And we're not going to get into all of that, why bad things happen. No. Did he fail or did he not fail? Then you have, for the younger generation, 21-year-old Brianna, who was just unalived in a very horrible, tragic way. Church is packed and the praise team just up there yelling and screaming while the mother is bawling over her daughter's casket in the church. I'm on TikTok and I'm on Instagram and YouTube, but the panel and who I'm facing is TikTok. And they're screaming, "He'll never fail." And they're singing that he won't fail. So what was our definition of failure in the church? What did we what did we think fail meant? For us to say, yes, that is so true. And when you look up fail, it means to be unsuccessful, to fall short of a goal. And most of the times when those people are in the hospital, right? Those people are in the hospital, you're praying over your loved one. And you've seen that too. I've seen it on TikTok. It's a believer that's in a bed and his believing family. "Oh God, right now, we speak life into them. Let them rise again. We don't care what the doctors say. God has the last say so." Well, he said he's going to die. And they passed on and they went on. That's what he said. Now what? Well, we just want to give God the glory because God healed him. He said he was going to heal him. And that's when he went to heaven. And so he healed him by taking him to heaven. But that's not what you prayed for. You wanted your loved one to stay here. So what is success to us? What was that in the church? When we say that God never fails, and yes, we're going to get back to that topic, where minister, I call her Little Jakes because I don't like to call people's name out, but I do want to talk about the clip where she said that God gives strongholds to strong women. Just remind me, we'll come back to that topic. He gives strongholds are for strong women to a whole stadium full of people. But talk about the goalpost. And I'm just sitting there, and it just shows how sleep we are, especially us, that, and if you didn't see it, it's okay, because you've seen it before. You've seen these songs being sung at funerals. You've seen it down the honor walks. God, do it for me. And the person is deceased, right? And pastors, if you hear, because I know y'all be in the cut, you can get in the box, you can talk, ministers and pastors only. Lay people, the ones with no title, and you say you're just a Christian, you sit in the pews, you're just going to regurgitate what your pastor said anyway. So we might as well hear it from his own mouth or her mouth. Women pastors, you can get up here too, even though they say y'all out of order and y'all supposed to be preaching and pastoring. But you can get up there, lay people, y'all are just going to repeat what you've heard somebody else say. You used to sing them with gusto. I used to sing them all the time. I used to sing them and play them too, all the songs, right? He'll never fail. Do it for me. Lord, I have a problem that only you can solve. Oh Lord, do it for me. Then he don't do it, then what? We don't, even when you lose a football game, the coaches, they go in there, they start talking about what happened. What happened? We played all the plays. We did what coach told us to do. Then coach is on their behind. We were supposed to win tonight. We didn't win. We did not reach the goal post, as you said. We didn't reach the goal. They talk about the failure, how they lost the game. They don't just move on, right? I'm a football person. I like football. And basketball be getting boring to me. I was going back and forth. I want to see some stuff, right? Some, people hitting stuff. But here's the thing. They go after and they have post rehearsal, post practice, and all the post game, and they talk about what went wrong. But we don't do that with God. We give him a pass and just say, well, that was his will. His ways are higher. The mysteries of God you'll never understand. So that means he's always successful then. No matter what he does, he's successful. He just succeeds. Even though you lose all your family members, right? But my mama passed away. Anyway, we prayed and she's still gone. Well, that was his will. So what we praying for? Y'all don't get, it's too early for me to be. It's only 7:11. We just started. What are we praying for then? And you have people telling doctors off. I don't care what you say, doctor. God has the last say. Then them doctors looking at you crazy like, I guess he said, okay. Question is, right? No is the answer. Let me look at these comments. The Christians never address the elephant in the room. Prayers unanswered. Mm. Will I ever leave you? Yes, you will. The answer is yes. Exactly. Like, what's the point of prayer for you? You never know, right? And I said this, and I always say this: if prayer works, we would not have to pray, because each one of us right now would take some kind of issue that's going on in the world. You pray, God answers it. We don't need to pray for missing kids anymore. If I can pray what I want to pray, right? You say I can pray, but then they'll say if it's according to His will. May every missing child be restored to their family. If it works, that means missing kids are going to come up out of the grave because they were unalived. Like, this is sickening, right? How we would just sit there and we believe this stuff, but hey, we were programmed, we were conditioned. But he does, it's one of two things. This is the point. Either he does fail or that God does not exist and we're creating that type of God that would, fail you. Somebody had sent an invite. If they did, I missed it. They do, but they call it his will for sure. If it's his will, moving the goalpost. But let's get back to this failure part. And see, the people that are at the funeral, they're in grief. They're grieving so hard, they don't even realize what's being sung. And you're trying to minister to the family We want to minister this song to the family. And the song is, He will never fail. God never fails. He never fails. So what the hell is this world? What is this? What's all this that we live in? That, all the people in power get away with all the things. And we don't want to hear Satan is the God of this world. People are evil and people make evil choices. Sin is in the world. We know all the scriptures. We know it all. And many of us that are preachers and pastors on here, uh, just know we know the scriptures. We used to preach it, we used to sing it, we used to live it. Now we've left it. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The answer, the elephant in the room is unanswered prayers. And do you ever go back to the doctors and say, you know what, my bad? And I've seen so-called Christians right there in their face, in the doctor's face. That's what you say, but God has the last say. Whose report will I believe? I'm going to believe the report of the Lord. Well, baby, this report says time of death, 3:23 p.m. I'm just saying, that's the report we have. Unless you're finna do the next thing and raise this person from the dead. That's what the report says. That cockiness and that boldness, right? Where they feel like, I'll show you by my God. My God never fails. Bet. Well, then what's success then? What is his success then? What is the success? If he never fails and I'm singing, you singing that over my child's deceased body, he never fails and I'm burying 8 of my kids, lady in Louisiana. Did I see the news of the 40-year-old pastor giving a 14-year-old boy HIV? Yes, I did. Is that a success or failure, God? God, did you know that one of yours, since that's where he's at, right in the sky, one of your 40-year-old pastors gave a 14-year-old boy HIV. What is that? Success or failure? Yes, I did see that on the news. Thank y'all. Hey, IG, what's going on? Who wants to talk? A whole failure. I always question the church.
Miss Dorian,
yes.
Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. I'm sorry,
I would like to speak from the perspective of a death doula.
Okay.
Right. And so being hired, first of all, my clientele was primarily Caucasians.
Okay.
And so they don't have any spiritual requirements.
Who is they?
Right. My clients.
Okay.
When they hire me to be a death doula.
Okay.
So I think the problem for other ethnicities is the anticipation that something's going to correct itself when you have been eating 27 pounds of chitlins for 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They on the other side of that, they come to more of an acceptance and are ready to transition or whatever it is that they do. Whereas we've been taught, that we can snatch somebody from the jaws of the enemy. And first of all, we don't have that power. Mm-hmm. Right? We lack self-control within ourselves. So how is it that we can go behind the veil and get somebody? That's my question.
Come on. Great question. And they will teach you all the time and they'll preach it across the pulpit. If we have the power to snatch somebody from the jaws of the enemy, but we can't go raise somebody from the dead, what is the power levels here? Like, what are the levels? Like, when do we ever get to that place and that point? But they'll preach it and we would sit there and just accept it and receive it. Like, yay, amen. The power. Hands lifted up. You know how that church face. Oh. But then we go out and we do nothing. I'm talking about when we were in the church. Because it's not true. I'm talking about snatching from the jaws. Like, let's say somebody's son was on drugs and the mother comes up there, I want to pray for my son and I want to lift him up because the enemy has him. We always were fighting an enemy. We can get on that one too. There was always an enemy to fight. So we come right now, we stand in agreement with this mother over her son that we snatch him now from the jaws of the enemy. Is that figuratively speaking? What are we doing here? And again, where's God with the no failure? I'm serving you. This is my child. This is a child. We're not talking about a 20-year-old man or a 27-year-old child man. That's still your child, but he's a man. We're talking about a 16-year-old who hasn't reached, as they talk about the age of accountability, whole other topic. Because if there was an age of accountability where they're not held accountable to God, why were we getting spanked and whooped at 12 and at 8? Wait a minute, I haven't reached the age of accountability. I shouldn't be accountable for stealing or doing what I was doing, right? So when we said we have the power to snatch from the hands of the enemy, why again was there so much failure in the church? And why is there still failure in the church that this pastor can give this 14-year-old boy HIV? And what's going to happen? People still going to keep going to church, and they're still going to keep going to that man's church. Period. They're still going to keep going. Somebody else going to step up in his place, and they're going to keep going. But forget about them. We're talking about God. I'm not a Christian, by the way. Did you say something else that I may have missed? That's the first. Um, it sounds like you're continuing a statement. You said, by the way, knowledge the sage. Oh, were you trying to come up or something? I just missed whatever. What did I miss? XXX mom, are you a Christian? Are you a church? Well, I call them churchlings. Are you a pastor or a minister? I got an invite from you. Yes, I'm not a Christian either because I have a success rate that beats God's success rate when it comes to me. Because when I was in the church, let's talk about, because that's where we started, when they preach and sing about how God never fails, but all you see is failure, right? That's all you see. When I was in the church, I married a man. Yes, I was just trying to get out of my mama's house. That's on me. And he was just needing a homely looking girl from the country to be his wife because he was going into ministry. And at 21, you needed to have a wife. That's how it was in our church, black church. Right. So hey there. So he picked me and I was just trying to get out the country. He read the Bible, he goes to church, boom. So that was years of abuse, right? That was some abuse. Where was the success or failure with that, God? Then I come into the union I'm in now, never put his hand on me, right? 4 diseases while I was in the church. You can mute your page real quick, Denise. 4 diseases in the church. I come out, none. Success for me, that's 2, failure for God, right? Then, Denise, can you mute your, I can't mute it right here where I'm at. Can you mute your, thank you. Then poverty for years in the church. Every year in the church, thank you. I come out of the church, no poverty. Success again. So when we say God never fails, what does success look like for God? Okay, so we have knowledge to sage. You say you're not a Christian, but you say that God does not and cannot fail. I'm going to believe that you're being sarcastic. That's what I'm going to take that from. That man had nothing to do with the Most High. Most of them don't because it doesn't exist. So just a little recap. Just a little recap. This is a deconstruction page. So we don't promote God Christianity. So knowledge the sage says that I assume God is a Christian. You assume that I believe that. You just met me, what, 3 minutes ago? You don't know what I know. We've been on this live for 22 minutes. I was in the church for 25 years. You've met me. However long you've been in this, you have not been in here long enough to know what I believe. Hey, yeah, so don't come in here assing up yourselves, okay? Don't come in here assuming anything. You can ask questions, but don't assume that you think you know what I believe. I don't even believe that God is a Christian because I don't believe in God like that, right? So when you say he cannot fail, he does not fail, you are correct because that type of God was created by man and does not exist. That is the point that we're saying. That either that God is a horrible God and there's no success rate, or he does not exist. Everything you say, this is the comment. I have to read them out loud because we have two other platforms. Everything you say in person, you quote in word and behavior was Christian so far. That's because that's the religion we was in. I'm talking to the people that are deconstructing religion, and that's what we were taught. Don't come in here. I know your name is Knowledge the Sage, but that don't mean you have the wisdom for this space. Okay? There is no God outside of you. You better preach, Eddie. Oh, now you got to get muted. We don't do no preaching up in here. You do that on your own page. Hirsch, knowledge the sage, knowledge the fool. Because that same book that you're quoting, it says sin is not lacking when you run your mouth. That's a scripture. Many words, many sins. It's in the Bible. And you already just bumping. You say you're not a Christian, but you acting like one. Just talking. Be slow to speak, quick to hear. That's what you need to do.
Well, he burns his jerk chicken. It didn't look really good on his profile, but I digress.
What was on his profile?
Some burnt jerk
chicken. Burnt chicken. Where's the sage in that? Go over there and fix that. Come on over here preaching. We don't need to hear that. We know that scripture. We know the Bible. We've preached it. We've taught it. We've lived it. We've sung it. We fell out to it. We to it. My God, today. Everybody always want to come over here trying to show what they know, then end up not knowing anything. When you come into a space, be quiet. At least sit on here for a good 30, 40 minutes. At least read the bio. That's what a person of wisdom would do. That's what your Bible also says. In all your wisdom, get understanding. You have not understood anything over here. Either God is a horrible God and fails, or that type of God does not exist. And leading on to what we were going to go into is when Sarah Jakes preached a message, and I'll just say her name because it's an open clip, because I don't go after pastors and I don't attack pastors. Joe, which part? I don't attack pastors and I just don't. Unless it's something that's relevant to what we're speaking about. And somebody sent me a clip of her preaching, and she said to a stadium full of people that strongholds are for strong women. And I watched it, and I went and watched a little bit more so I could knowledge the sage. If you're still listening, I went and got the full context. I didn't just start typing over a clip that somebody sent me. I went and watched more of the video to get the before of what she said and the after. That's sageness. That's wisdom. Okay. That's smartness. And she basically said that if you are struggling with alcohol, God gave that to you because he knew you were strong enough to handle it. That if you're dealing with anxiety and all you see is a bunch of women, mostly Black, standing there, just weeping and crying and receiving it. It's out there. Just type it in YouTube. I think she has on a blue outfit. Don't make me pull this up. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. Stronghold. Oh, and guess what? I did a video on it. What's up? You saw it? You see
No,
it?
I did not see it.
Oh.
I pull it up.
There it is. Yeah, I see it. Right here. It's playing. Let me get to that part. Video. Strongholds are for strong women. Let me. But y'all heard it so far already. Okay, it's only a few seconds. Here we go. She's doing this the whole time. So it's getting the people all pumped up. That was Sarah Jakes. I didn't, Somebody sent that to me. So I'm not coming for you, Sarah. Somebody sent that to me, but I did write about you in my book. About strong. Yeah, you've been waiting to catch you. Yes, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, when they should be in Bible study. And Mondays, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So, but when you watch the clip, it is a stadium full of women receiving it, taking it in. Yes, taking it all in. That, and then she went on. So this is a commentary. I need to find the actual clip again. Oh, I think I found it. Boom, boom, boom. Where she talks about alcohol. Listen to it. Then she goes on to say, if you have alcoholism, it's the music for me. I know, right? And it's getting everybody all pumped up, right? Oh, I need to be stronger than stronger than pride. So stronger than pride, God gave that to you because He knew you were strong enough. Sounds like entertainment. Wait till y'all go watch it. They got the lights and everything flashing and stuff. And I used to play that music too when I was in the church. But it's all programmed and it's all coded. All the music is coded to get you to feel some kind of way, right? It's the combo of the organ playing the loud, and the charismatic speaker, all of that. And then me and the drummer, everybody giving eyes. Okay, we're gonna hit dun dun right here, dun dun dun, and then you got to follow them, all of that, right? But it's the sick part that somebody in there is saying, I'm struggling with alcohol, or even women with pornography or anxiety, like she said. And God gave that to me because He knew I was strong enough to handle it. Yeah, it's that part. Fail. It's that part right there. We're on TikTok. Yes. I looked at the before and after. I'm just not going to keep playing it because that music is annoying. But that's what Sarah Jakes told them. And she didn't just tell a stadium full of people. She told people that are watching that clip, that follow her. She's telling the world that your stronghold. And now think about it. When you were in the church, they talked about strongholds. What strongholds did you identify with then? Where are you at right now outside of the church with those strongholds? Do you still have them? Have you overcome them? And that's really where I come in, where we heal, thrive, and recover, because some of you are still dealing with some of those things, but you didn't get it taken care of in the church. But we just want to overlook that, right? That's what we just want to overlook it. Give God a pass, right? Yeah, she's impacting the world, all right, in a horrible way. They know how to get you in your feelers. It's by design. They need you to feel defeated, right? So then you can depend on God, and then you can sow that seed. Because guaranteed at the end, I do remember an offering that there was a seed, there's always a seed tied to your breakthrough. They always have a seed, no matter what. We're going to sow a stronghold seed before you leave this stadium on tonight. I need 1,000 women to run up here right now and give a stronghold seed, a seed of stronghold of the seed. The seed is holding strong, and I need you to give a seed to break the stronghold, right? There's always a seed tied to it. Fail. I'm not Christian, but they like to worship with my kids, and I haven't raised them religious, right? Yeah, Chelsea. 10%. Oh, yeah, it's 10%. But after that, now you need to give an additional sacrificial offering because the hold is still strong. And she said it. The hold is strong, and she's doing this. The hold is strong. So 10% is not enough. They say that until they're tested, for sure. I'm sorry, I had my finger in your face. My bad. It's making me approve comments. I don't like that. I got to stick my finger in y'all's face all the time. It's like I can see the comments, but they have it blurred or grayed out. We got to figure that out.
Dorian, I'm not able to see or approve the comments anymore. I can't see them.
You can't see the comments at all?
No, ma'am. The ones that are blurred out, I see when it's blurred out, but I can't.
You can't do anything? Okay.
What did I say? What did I do on your live? I thought I have been behaving.
You did. You have. We'll see if one of them Christians come in here. We'll see if you're able to block one of them churchlings or mute them. When they start blurring comments, I don't know. They just started. One time she said, I think it's not just me. One time she said something, I don't even want to say it. I'm going to say Roland Males, the black young man that was unalived. She said his name in the comments, and ever since then, they have been messing with her. They have been blocking her comments when she mentioned Roland Males, NNW, right? And then somebody said Jesus, and then they blocked that one. Somebody said Jesus in the comment, and they just started blocking it. So they blur it, and then I have to approve it. Fail. We need to pray right now. God, right now, we pray right now that you will come over here and touch these comments right now, oh God. We need you to lift whatever this band is right now, oh God.
Is your all on the altar? Let me stop.
Sacrifice. And so back to what we were saying about the stronghold. These women are leaving out of there saying that God, so now they have to go home with this, right? You're saying it, you're typing it, Instagram's not doing anything, but she had typed a comment with that name in there, and she's my mod. She's one of my mods, and they just started blocking her stuff, and they wouldn't let me see her comments. But strongholds are for strong women. That is not true. And so if you are still a believer, because a lot of you are over here, that's a lie. God did not give you that. And if he did, he's a horrible parent. I would not. My son is autistic and he has ADHD. He's high functioning. I've done a lot of work to help reprogram his mind and get him to where he's, high functioning. However, I wouldn't just give that to him. I wouldn't just say, okay, I'm gonna make you autistic, baby, and ADHD so you can give me the glory. So I can see how strong, so I can watch you struggle in 6th grade and not be able to make friends. I'm gonna put it on you to where you can't even have a conversation with anybody because you don't know how to start a sentence and all the other struggles he had. I'm just gonna give that to you. Who is this? We got the enemy in here, y'all. It's the enemy. Yes. And that spirit, I had to block somebody. That spirit has been in everybody's life. Inbox me with your Cash App tag. My God, today. Why does a powerful God have to do that? Let's go ask Sarah Jakes. She knows, obviously, she talked to God and she told him. And then she said, the stronghold is for strong women. No, I'm strong because I work out. I'm strong because I read. I'm strong because I research. I'm strong because I released people in circumstances and situations that do not serve me. I'm strong because I've released bad habits, YouTube. Come on in here. All right. I'm strong because I'm putting the right things in my body more and more and more consistently, working on that continually. Every now and then I'm going to have a cupcake. Okay. I'm going to do it. And maybe a slice of cake after that. But I'm strong because I do those things. That's what makes me a strong woman, not my so-called struggles. Now, I get it that as you overcome those things, it does make you stronger. But the fact that you got to give that to me to make me strong. Right. Galen, were you in here just a minute ago when I played the clip by Little Jakes? Right. That's what makes me strong. And although I love when these men come in here so strong like that, although she's talking to women, it applies to men. Yeah, I just played a clip. It was like a 30-second clip of Little Jakes. Okay, Sarah Jakes. And it's the same thing, because if God's going to give his strongholds to strong women, I'm sure that applies to men. Men, you getting stronger because of what God gave you. I'm strong because I have healthy boundaries. Baby, put them in the comments. Come on, Instagram preaching. I'm strong, and you can put whatever you need to put behind it. So basically, she's saying that when I married the pastor man and got beat up a lot of times, had to call police and all of that, and he would do that stuff in front of our kids, God gave that to me because I was a strong woman. How about I chose wrong? How about I chose that fool? It ain't had nothing to do with God. And when I went to divorce him, the pastors and them were trying to get us to stay together, saying what God is joined together, let no man put asunder. I told him, I said, God didn't put us together. I did. We did. We did this. It was a marriage of convenience. Uh-huh. That comes from the church. Open your Bibles to, uh-huh. That's what they do. I did that. We did that. It was a marriage of convenience. He was like, look, you Christian, you know how to play the piano. He saw me as an in-house worship leader that he could use and not pay because I was his wife. I wrote the songs, wrote all the worship music, wrote his sermons. We're not going to talk about that. And I saw a way to get out the country because my mama's house was hot. She didn't have no AC. We didn't have no telephone. And it was hot. I want to get out of here. I'm tired. And that was my escape route. God had nothing to do with that. Even though I prayed and I told, him that I'm gonna pray and you pray and we're gonna see if God say, and I went and told him that God said you my husband and he said, God said you my wife. And we foolishly got married and God had nothing to do with that. Unpaid labor and a warm hole to stick his thing in. Now let's talk about that part, Galen. Let's talk about the warm hole to stick because I really don't remember a lot of that. Because it flagged it, Galen. Galen, it won't let me put it, but she put, I was basically unpaid labor and a warm hole to stick his thing in. That didn't happen a lot. I know it happened twice because we have 2 kids. Everything else is a blur. There was no romantic connection. I'll talk about all that in the book, right? In both my books. He know what page he's on. There wasn't a lot of that because we didn't get together and marry for love and romance. I'm coming back, you too. We didn't get together we got together for kingdom work. It was a kingdom couple, kingdom marriage. So I guarantee you it was not a lot of that. He was not very romantic. We just didn't do that. Thank you, you too. Yeah, we went on one date out of all the years we were married, all our 20s, all of that, being married, having a church. We went on one date and it was towards the end when I had filed for divorce. When you file for divorce, then I'll go to the gym. I'll take you out on a date. Right? Yeah, that was our date. And the date didn't even go through because we was going to go see Medea Goes to Jail. And we got pulled over and he went to jail because he had warrants. For real, he did. They pulled us over for the license plate, the light in the back. They said the license plate light was out. Right? Go ahead, Nomadic.
Why is it that Christian marriage SMEX is the worst on the planet?
Because they're not getting together because they love each other. They're getting together for kingdom work. It's for kingdom. It's for the kingdom. Oh, he was big backed. He didn't start out big back. No. Yeah, that's why. Because you come together, you meet each other, and no offense, I'll be honest. My husband today is like the most attractive person I've ever been with. Just be honest. Because back then you didn't get together for that. Are you saved? Are you a man of God? Are you a woman of God? Will you submit to me? And will you love me like Christ loved it? That's all that mattered. They weren't lookers. It was one of those, ooh, how did he get her type stuff? And I'm not trying to say because I am, I am that, I'm not going to, let's be real about it. But I'm saying back then, I didn't wear any makeup. My hair was in a ponytail. I wore long Juanita Bynum dresses and suits. And so it was one of those, he wanted to be in ministry and he needed a wife. That's all it was. And there was no getting on your knees to do anything but prayer. Okay? It wasn't none of that. Matter of fact, oral was condemned. That's not holy. That's unclean. So a lot of that, I don't even remember. I promise you I don't remember that. I remember 2 times because I have a son and a daughter. But we didn't go on a date until after I filed for divorce. And he was like, okay, because on Saturday nights, what were we doing? Getting ready for service. Like we had a full-fledged church. And there's some people that have been on here from Houston and they know where it was off OST, Old Spanish Trail. We had and so on Saturdays, We were either getting ready for service, where, I'm at the Christian bookstore getting the communion cups, our armor bearers or whatever are with me. Yes, I'm from Sunnyside, and we're getting tithing envelopes, vacuuming the church just in case that we had something on a Friday night. We're getting the church together, making sure there's toilet paper. That was our date. Me and any of the other church members or deacons that will come up there. Wednesday night, we got Bible study. And then the night before, he's got to prepare for Bible study, and I got to write his sermon. Did I say that out loud? Okay, whatever. Or he had to listen to TD Jakes and get it. But other than that, we didn't have a SMEX life. There was no romance. And pastors on here that have been on here know that they do that. A pastor said that, yes, we be stealing each other's messages, changing the titles. You just preach the same message as so-and-so. Leading while bleeding, I'm going to change it to bleeding while leading. I'm not saying that's a real story, but that's what our life was. You've heard that. They do. They steal each other's sermons. I mean, people steal all the time in every industry. People steal. Yes, I'm a writer. I've written 3 books for sure. I've written 3 books. This is my latest, Empty the Pews, Empty Their Pockets. And so let me tell you why I did it though, because I was his helpmate, right? And when I saw what he had and he presented what he presented, I'm like, nah, you ain't gonna embarrass me like that. Let me tell you how to put that together. Okay. And I was a Bible studier, right? He was a preacher. There's a difference. There's people that get in that pulpit, they can preach and they can tune up real well. They can do all the things, but they don't know the Bible, right? They can mimic because it's conditioned anyway. There's a big difference. Okay. So we didn't have, we would be at conferences. We'd be at revivals for 3 days out of the week. I mean, he was the pastor. And then, he's got to spend his time in the presence of God, getting the word. So he's gone for 2-3 hours somewhere under the veil in the room, behind the veil, trying to get a word. And I'm in there with the kids, just getting ready. The whole house is consecrated. We got worship music going on Saturday night so he can get into the spirit. And then cuss me out on the way to church. Or slap me or something. Put on a show. Yeah. Real talk. And then he get in the pulpit and preach his message. Preach TD Jakes' message. So that's why a lot of Christian marriages, I'm not saying all, because there are some perform your word pretty much. There are some that do have a good relationship. I'm talking about what I saw, what I grew up with, and what I experienced. It wasn't about, smecks and romance. And a lot of men, that's why a lot of pastors cheat, women and men, both sides. Men cheat, pastors cheat like that because they married you because you are a ministry wife. I married you for ministry. You have a good ministry voice. You have a good ministry look. And I've done videos about it and I wrote about it. But that other one, she got that thing, and she gonna do that thing. And a lot of first ladies will not do certain things because they don't feel like it's holy or it's first lady like. Because I do things, hey, my good people on here, my husband on here, that I didn't do in my first marriage, because that's not what you're supposed to do. It's straight missionary. That's all. That's the only thing that God bless. All that other stuff is lust. If you don't lust you better lust your wife and you can lust and love. They would try to say, no, you just need to love your spouse. Lust is of the devil. We gonna lust and love all of it up in her. And that's why the marriages fail. That's why they tip out and they step out, because I only married you for kingdom work, because you can make my church go far. And I'm from Houston. And so any of you that know, Yolanda Adams' husband, they came through there. They came through there. We had the connections there, but that's because I'm singing with some of the, top singers there in Houston. I'm in that group and he's like, okay, boom. I see an opportunity. And I looked at him, I was like, boom. May not be a but I see an opportunity. Get out of my mom's house. I'm super happy now because I decided when I got out. Yeah. I'm not saying all, but most of them, when they go home, the husband's just trying to spend time with God, not really trying to spend time with her. And she feels like she's got to have a women's prayer every morning. If you don't get in that room and Mhm. And that is why the first EP, my music album, is called My Other Playlist. I was in the middle of deconstructing when I wrote that album. It's 6 songs on there, and it's called My Other Playlist because I was trying to share with the church that you can have another playlist outside of Take Me to the King, Israel Houghton, Hillsong, that you can have love songs. Yeah, right? Because in our house when I was married to him, that's all we played was worship music. There was no Luther, none of that. It was nothing. All worship music and praise music. And no wonder it was like it was. We weren't meant to be together anyway, but still. It's like, yes, I am. I am Dorian Marie Music. Or send me a message and I'll tag you on it. It wasn't like that. It was strictly church and ministry. But that don't mean that I ain't gonna put him out there like that. I already put it in the book. I am Dorian Marie Music. Yeah. That don't mean that, things weren't, let's just say the Holy Spirit was not the Trinity in our marriage. And it is what it is. Because honestly, he loved someone else before we even got married. And we've talked about this before. Like, you should have just went with her. You should have even left me in the marriage and just went to be with her. It would have been better that way than us suffering all those years with our small kids because you're not happy. I'm not the one you really want to be with. And you're not the one that I really want to be with because I was scheduled and, engaged to someone else, but I was in a cult at that time. And the cult, yes. And the cult didn't allow us to get married because he wasn't financially ready to marry me. He still lived with his dad. And so I was depressed in the cult, and I used my pastor husband at the time to get me out of the cult. Yes, it is, Kevin. Yes. So I was engaged to a minister who I really wanted to be with at the time. We were in a cult together. He brought me to the cult. Then, because they didn't believe in people being engaged for long, so we didn't fall into sexual sin. I didn't even have smacks with my pastor husband before. There was no romantic nothing. We wasn't like, we need to get married because we just fornicating. No. Let's not talk about the honeymoon. My God, today.
My honeymoon was at Red Lobster.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
We got married at the courthouse, and
oh, y'all did it at the what? Y'all did it in the Red Lobster?
No, we got married in the courthouse.
Right.
And then we had to go back to work, and then on the weekend we went to Red Lobster.
Oh, that was your honeymoon. Okay. I thought you were talking about y'all did it at the yeah.
Oh no, it was straight missionary, child. When I left and realized reverse cowgirl was a thing, I was like, shit it
Right. But no, that not even afterwards. That was the honeymoon, right? Not even afterwards. Mm-hmm. Hey, I see you, Dre, looking back at it. Yeah, that's that. And here's the thing: that's not even preached. Now they're having conferences now, more so now, where they're talking about openness and being more open in your marriage. Okay. Dorian Marie. I'm so sorry. My name is Dorian Marie on Apple. My bad. I was giving you my social media handles. But now they're talking about that in conferences now. You need to do this with your husband, do that. But not back then. All they want to do is just pray and just get on the altar. Right? And it's like, you're not playing no other kind of music in the car, nothing. Everything is worship. Everything is God. Take me to the king. How about you take me to the counter? Take me in the closet. Take me anywhere. But to the king. They are 25 years too late with this conversation. For sure. Yeah. And then they wonder why, especially a lot of first ladies. That's why I go hard on them, because I've been in that role, especially when they come for me and I see how they present themselves. And then they want to get no justification, of course, because man, you married the woman, but looking like that, and then you talking about all the other young women in the church and what they're wearing. You need to be focusing on what you're wearing and what you're not wearing when you at home. You got on a whole onesie. Anyways. And you trying to tell me I need a covering. You need to uncover. And maybe he won't be looking at sister so and so. How about you just go home and then they'll be like, I just want to strip before you, oh God. I just want to lay naked before you, oh God. How about, just saying. Same thing with the pastor. Same thing with the, you want to go out and take your pastor bishops to lunch and then, yeah, me and the bishops are, after service, we just gonna go and have a lunch, but you don't take your wife out. And she could be, okay, with Deacon. Yes, I've seen it. I've heard it. Hey, youthful. I've seen it and I've heard it. These first ladies doing that kind of stuff. You don't smell right, fresh, or nothing. You've been wearing them stockings all day at church Sunday, and you expect him to be attracted to you. Yes. You know you're not fresh. You didn't have them stockings on all day long, hopping around, jumping around everywhere. What was we talking about? Oh, if you're just joining, oh man, it's almost 8 o'clock. We're supposed to leave. Church supposed to be out at 8 o'clock. We started out talking about our how God never fails, and he absolutely does. Biggest failure. I'm gonna touch on that real light. And then we talked about Sarah Jake's clip that somebody sent me last year, and I did a video on it last year, where she said strongholds are for strong women. Right. And then we started talking about just life as a first lady and being married. And it is a sad, again, this is not everybody. Some people are doing great as husband and wife in leadership. Oh, Lord, Esquire. Yes, we're talking about these first ladies and these church mothers. But that wasn't back then. It really wasn't at the forefront. Now that there's social media and podcasts, they're openly talking about it. And then you see Erica Campbell and all them talking about cheating in the marriage and all that kind of stuff. But there was definitely emotional cheating in my marriage. I mean, honestly, like we've talked about earlier, you can kind of sense and pick up, but he was emotionally still tied to his, the one that he really, really loved before we got married. And, I talked to her during the marriage. I didn't have no reason to get mad at her. That's a whole nother story. Because she wasn't pursuing him, he was pursuing her. When I saw the phone, I'm gonna tell you this story for real. So I don't know when texting came out. Let me tell you how homely and how sheltered I was. He sold his phone to one of the deacons in the church. Just sold his phone. He thought he cleared it out. He didn't. So the deacon comes to me, and him and the deacon native fell out. And the deacon he'll still call me. He was his armor bearer. He still calls me now because he sees me online. He's like, man, First Lady, it's hard to see you like this, but I'm getting it. I'm understanding. Right. Boom. I knew he's going to say it. Good. 2006, because that's when it was. It was 2006. Right. So he came to me because it was 2006, then 2000, and then I filed for divorce in 2008. So that's when it started getting really, really. But she's been there from day one. She was there the entire time. But the deacon, he said, if he ever come on there talking about you ever online, I'm gonna come and I'm gonna expose everything. And I was like, it's cool. It's, let it be. So we were just talking the other day, and we talked about this story where he came to me and he said, First Lady, I have something I want to show you. And I was like, okay. So we met, and he pulled out this phone in 2006, and he showed me a conversation between him and her. And she was pursuing him, and she was like, no, but they knew each other before me. I get it. They were girlfriend, boyfriend before me. And she was turning him down. He was just pursuing. And I was like, why them words inside the phone like that? Because I didn't know what texting was. He was like, well, it's this new thing. It's called texting, where you can, and he explained all that to me. And I was like, okay. And he said, I told Pastor that he has 30 days to tell you about this because I don't feel like it's my place to come, and confront him. He said, I just told him that he had 30 days to come and tell you. And if he didn't, I was going to come show you. So he was showing me 30 days after it had already happened. Right? Oh, yeah, there's no excuse. Oh, I'm not saying there's no excuse, but it wasn't just some random girl, just in case y'all came in late and missed the beginning of that. But it had already been 30 days when he showed me. So he's like, I told him he had 30 days. So I assume, and I asked him, did he tell you? He said, no, I haven't told her. That's my business. That's my marriage. So he came and told me. And then he showed me the messages. So I went and told him, I was like, Deacon, blah, 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 blah. He picked up that phone and cursed him to the death. I curse your marriage. How dare you tell my wife that? All the kind of things. So yeah, that the marriage was not. When you say that's a sad life, it's a hard life. Let me tell you why. Because as I talk about in here, I wrote a whole chapter on the fake role of a first lady. It's hard when you create roles that should not exist. That's how people get hurt. When you're creating a role, you're creating a role in a system that should not exist. That's how people get hurt. Look at slavery. When you create a role or you create anything that should not exist, that's when people get hurt. So we were in that role carrying weights that we had no business carrying. We was 21 when we started pastoring, and it was our entire 20s. At 21, who can we counsel in marriage? When we just got married, who can we counsel in marriage when we're not even supposed to be married? What can we tell a 40-year-old couple that comes to our church? Just because I can sing well and he can preach well and we can draw them in. What can you say other than what's in that book? So it's challenging because we're doing things that we should not be doing. Ruling over people. What? Why am I ruling over a bunch of women? Get me started, bro. All right. We good. Cursed him because he got caught. Wow. Yeah, he did. He cursed him. He cursed him bad. Then when the deacon found out about the what do you call it? The physical abuse, the deacon and his wife were the first ones to see me. They came. I had went to my mom's house after that bad one really, really happened. And he was the first person to see it, him and his wife, and they were done. He left the church because of that. So he started his deconstruction journey because of my ex-husband. Babe, you trying to come up? Or are you doing it on accident? Before marriage, was there any red flags? Yes, and I ignored them all. I kicked them down. I buried them because I just wanted to get married and get out of my mama's house. You better believe there was some red flags. His own auntie told me not to marry him. She said, don't marry him. He can't keep no job. And guess what happened during the entire marriage? Couldn't keep no job. At all. I'm sorry I didn't see these. Wayne, are you a Christian or XX mom?
Why did you say your name?
Oh, Lord Jesus Christ in the Latter-day Saints. Galen, I got you. I used to tell God that if my husband treated me that way my pastor did his wife, I didn't want one. Right. Oh man, I have a friend like that. Yes, of course I saw the red flags. But you know what I saw that as? The enemy. That's just the devil trying to block me from bliss and happiness. When I was on my way to marrying so-called devil. What's up, Galen?
Satan was working on your behalf then.
He was.
What?
And they told me that it was just Satan that was trying to hit me. That was Satan that hit me. I'm like, dang, the devil got a black fist? Shoot. You shaking your head, Galen?
That's everything got to be the devil. You know, like some people say, like sometimes it ain't the devil's fault. Sometimes you blame the devil, and the devil's standing there looking like it wasn't me.
Exactly.
I didn't even do nothing this time.
No. And I told his aunt, well, it's gonna be different with me. She straight up told me, do not marry my nephew. You know what else she said? She said, do not marry my nephew because he still loves his ex-girlfriend and he can't keep a job. And that's what I experienced for the whole time. The whole time we was married. couldn't keep a job, quitting jobs because God's calling you into full-time ministry. What about these full-time bills, bro? Yeah, it's
full-time ministry is such a joke.
No.
Because that's how
I'm gonna tell you
I
about
lost like my autonomy. All of us who were there for years, little by little, demanding more and more of your time.
Right.
And she said, why don't you just work for the ministry full time? And so all of your time and dedication is given to the ministry.
Right.
But what about everything else?
Right. Right.
Like my pastor was surrounded by women, and he used us to carry out everything for him, so he didn't have to do it himself. Because that man didn't have a job.
That's the goal.
He had somebody else giving into his pocket, somebody else running his errands, somebody else cooking his food, somebody else running his businesses.
Right. That's the goal for most pastors, and they'll be a lie if they'll be a lie. Most of them, their goal is to be in full-time ministry, to be paid a salary and not have to go into another job. And no, the deacon and him, they haven't been cool since then. And they were best friends before I even came into the picture. And then me and his wife, we're fine. We were fine after that. But he already said, if I see him, it's on site. I'm gonna put hands. And so I was like, yeah, man.
I'll be for real damn for you at least.
Yes, him and his wife, they were always there after it happened. Somebody was asking me that on Instagram. But that's the goal for most pastors, is to be full-time, is to be able to do this because it's easy work. It's an easy gig. I just got to preach on Sunday and Wednesday, show up and get on stage and show off and perform, visit a hospital or two, a little sicky sick, visit a little sicky sick people. The Lion King and the Lioness do all the work. Come on. My time here. Most pastors have had their own full-time careers. Yeah. In my time here, most pastors, where are you? Is it a certain city? That's the goal, because then you've made it. And then you can kind of show that to your other friends and other bishop pastors, because after service, that's one of the things they would do. We would all go out to eat, and all the pastors would get on the phone if they weren't there, and they would sit around and we'd eat after church, and they would brag about how much money each one took up, how much money, how many came in attendance, or how much money did you run this week? How much did you run in attendance? And how many did you run this week, if you know what I mean? That could be girls, boys, kids, men. Now, I will say, I didn't hear nothing about kids, because then I was definitely going to be up out of there, but they was definitely running the women's. Could have been men's too. I agree. It sounds like a mob. I wrote a story about that in the book, Empty the Pews, Empty Their Pockets, where a drug dealer told me that. He said, the reason I became a pastor, he's a pastor, the reason I became a pastor is because it's safer that way. We're both pumping poison into the community, but at least I'm not getting shot at. That's what he told me. Mother B, are you a Christian? I'll pull you up. Sheesh. Yeah. So just a reminder, I do not debate Christians in the box. Pastors, you can come up, ministry leaders for sure. But if you're a Christian, no, thank you. Hi, Mother B. That's all I see. Do you have something to share, Mother B? Yes, not. Yeah. I'm not going to waste my time on Christians, because y'all are just going to say the same thing and then end up sending us to hell. Your grandfather was a pastor. I used to overhear them talking about how much to collect. How much did you run this week, Doc? Man, we had 700 this week, man. For real. And then if you had a guest speaker, and I've shared this, I believe, maybe some of you are new. If you had a guest speaker, you had to raise your own. That's okay, sweetheart. You had to raise your own offering, your own honorarium. So if you're going to ask us, like that one pastor, that's when we learn. Me and my ex-husband, we learned the very first time we had the come on, Steph. The first time we had a guest speaker, he told us how much he wanted. It's gonna be $1,000. Okay, great. That meant that we was gonna have to get up there and hopefully these people raise 1,000. But he was sneaky with it. He got up there and he was like, I'm gonna give the first 800 on today. We want to raise 1,000 for the house. That's what he said. 1,000 for the house. His pocket was the house. We didn't know that then, but we knew later. I want to raise 1,000 for the house before we leave on tonight. I'm going to give the first 800. And so then everything else that was collected, or he'd end up getting all that money back and some. You know what they would do with the money? They would, now, Steph, they would go out there and help the community and feed the community and get backpacks and clothes and pay light bills and rent. That's what they did.
Yeah, right. In Magic City.
Yes. Then they get mad when it's not what they requested the tithe to be, for sure. Yeah, I've heard it.
Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
So, I can say, one of the things that my former pastor used to try to, pride himself on was the fact that he wasn't, in with, the regular church groups. So them being in the back offices talking about how much you get, Doc, and all this, Doc. But the fact of the matter is, nobody wanted to be around him. And we only had, at most, you had, maybe 20 members. So he knew he couldn't count on us as individuals to give enough in offering to cover anything. Mm-hmm. So that's why he was birthing out businesses and assigning businesses to people. Mm-hmm. But I remember one service, because besides that, he was always trying some type of pyramid scheme, some type of scheme to get us to buy in to try to use that to make money. And one of them was called Clear Phone. It was some off-brand
I've seen that
phone that ran on Android but was separate from regular networks. Right. And he wanted us to buy the phone and then do a whole bunch of all of this stuff and then bring people in on it. And, he wanted us to sow a $500 seed.
Yeah. Hey, Ricky.
And at the time, I had just gotten paid. I had, money in my savings, but I was told, mind you, I'm financially illiterate. I don't know much. Mm-hmm. And so I was told, when you put something in your savings, you put it in there and you do not touch it unless it is an absolute emergency.
Right.
And so I had money in my savings, but I only had $50 in my checking account. He wanted us to sow a seed of faith. And it was supposed to be $500. And he said, when you bring your envelope, put it in my hand and I'm going to touch and agree with you. And whatever it was, I forget how he was preaching, but whatever it was, I was all in, all for it. Okay. And I was excited. So, my little 50 that I had, I wrote that down on my envelope. I walked up to the pulpit and I handed it to him. And he grabbed me by the hand. He looked at it and he got mad at me. And he was like, what's this? And I said, such as I had. He was like, no, you disobedient. You didn't listen to God. And I walked away hurt.
Yeah.
And sat in the booth. And he just went in on me. Mm. And I'm just so confused. God, I'm doing, this is all I had. Why am I getting in trouble for this? Mm-hmm. So after church was over, he had called me in his office and asked me, so what happened? Why didn't you get this? I know you got this, and you always being so stingy. And I had to explain to him why. And I broke down crying in front of this man. Mm-hmm. And then he started apologizing, because when I told him, I had money in my savings account, but you told me not to touch that. And he was like, oh, well, I'm sorry. God ain't be mad at you for that. But it was nigga. Always this up and down crap.
Yeah.
And
we got 2 more minutes.
It was but it's but you needed that money.
Right.
Because there was no other way you was going to get it. So a seed of faith. I didn't see none of what he said was going to happen.
Right. And here's the thing, and even as we wrap up, some of you may still be in church, some of you in between. Everybody's in a different place, but I know a lot of you are still over here. And as we wrap up, seriously, this is the message, especially us people. You call yourself Black, colored, melanated, indigenous, whatever you call yourself. If you don't have money saved aside or stacked up, you're not investing, if you don't feel comfortable financially, you should not be giving to a church. You should not be giving to a church. I need you to really think, why am I giving to a church? I don't care what the pastor's saying. I need you just to think, put all of that aside. Why am I giving my money that I worked for this week into this building? What fears do you have? The curse, what curse? You're already cursed if you don't have enough money. And if some emergency happens and you're screwed, versus, okay, that happened, I got it. Why are you putting your money into church? And that's what empty the pews, empty their pockets is all about. Boycotting the churches is all about. Taking your time, money, and resources back. You know why? Because not just if you go ask, they're not going to give you help. Tithing and giving until it hurts is not biblical. You need to give until it hurts. Not biblical. You need to give a sacrificial seed. Not biblical. Because if you hear the word need, it says to not give out of necessity. You're supposed to give according to what's in your heart. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I'm just telling you, you shouldn't be. Because what's going to happen, like many Christians come over here looking for help, asking for a GoFundMe, go find your pastor is what I tell you. Because you shouldn't have been giving it to them in the first place, especially when you hear people tell you to stop doing it and then you still give it. And then you come over here and two people have done that. Well, I did go to my church. Well, you follow me. You know what I've told you to do. I've told you on Sunday morning, take your time, your money, and your resources back to yourself. Invest in yourself. Build yourself up financially. Build yourself mentally, physically, all the things. This giving until it's hurt. That one pastor, when I left my last church, saying you need to give until it hurts, even if you have to eat bologna sandwiches. I don't like bologna. And then I get out of church and I see him on Instagram at Papados. And if you're from where I'm at, then you know what Papados is, a little upscale, not too upscale, a little more expensive than Captain D's fish place. And he's taking a picture talking about fish platter on point with his family. But you just told the church to go eat bologna sandwiches so they can give the rest of their money. That's right, Dr. Carolyn. She was on the live earlier. Me and her were in that cult together. I talked a little bit about the situation at the cult as far as being married earlier today. So that giving until it hurts, tithing is not required. And you have to keep hearing these things over because you've been so conditioned and you're scared not to give. You're scared not to give because if I don't give, then my washing machine might break down. Then I get a flat. Those are all lies to manipulate you. You're suffering anyway. You don't have enough anyway. All your bills are on Klarna and Affirm, Afterpay, but you're still giving money to church. Stop. I'm just going to tell you stop. If you're going to sit here and you're going to follow me, I'm going to tell you to stop doing it. You know why? Because you're okay. You're okay. If God needs it that bad, and if a pastor says, well, God called me to this, then he needs to fund your business. He needs to fund your ministry. If it's God's house, this is my house. This is our house. What that look like? Nomadic, Eddie, Coach, over here. I'm going to need you to give now. This is my house. I need to be taking care of my own house. Right? He talked about that, the lady with the 2 pennies all the time. She gave all she had.
Especially on top of that, if you have a spouse. Now that's what's crazy.
Come on with it.
If you have a spouse or a significant other, there's no way in the east or western of the hell.
Right.
Should you need any help from anyone else.
Right.
Eddie Griffith said it best. A woman.
They got a cooter.
Yeah, they should never be without.
Right. That's what she was saying over here on Instagram. If you're a woman and you got a cooter, you should never be without. And then some of you may still be doing this depending on how your church takes up offering. You're walking around putting in empty envelopes because you know you don't have it, but you don't want to look embarrassed and you don't want the pastor looking at you like you didn't give. I used to do that all the time. And I've heard other people say they've done it before. Walk around there, that music is playing and you got your envelope and you putting it down the certain way so they won't see that ain't nothing wrote on it. Or you try to find a couple of pennies or something so like you put something in there. We don't have to do that anymore. Carolyn, what you laughing at? That's right. You come first before anything. Your well-being. And then after you put the mask on first and you can actually breathe, then if you want to help and give to a good church, or that's up to you. I'm not giving to no institution and no building, period, because there's too many needs right here in front of me for you to have to split my money up between you, the musician. And if you got more than one musician, the drummer and the bass player and the keyboard player got to get paid. Anybody else, your brother getting paid, he don't do nothing, but he get paid. I went to a church like that. It's like, wow, Pastor, well, his brother, because he opened up the church, he get a salary. Yes, you remember those days. Yes, they do have debt. They do have debit machines. Yes, all about the coochie. Thank you so much. Yes, they have debit machines, but sometimes, let me tell you, some churches, especially the old Baptist churches and the older churches, they still have the traditional where you walk around because them deacons need to look. And they still have lines. Oh, they still do the envelope. We already remember the Winans situation. We're going to wrap it up. You remember the Winans, Marvin Winans situation last year. Yeah, that was last year. You remember that? There's still envelopes because if they say we want to raise $20,000 and we need, 20 people to give 1,000, they need you in a line so they can count. The pastor's doing it, and there's deacons right in the back that's counting to say, we got it. All right. And if you looking and you see that, okay, that's only 15, we ain't got it. You looking at the pastor. Now look, and that's when the pastor say, hold on, shh. Because at first, they singing, we're blessed in the city, we're blessed in the, and we ain't got it. Shh, hold on right now. Shh. And then I got to stop that music and break it down to something softer. I hear the Lord speaking right now. There are some of you in here. There's 4 of you right now. And I have to quiet everybody down, because the drummer be doing too much. You heard him say, and he's still over here in a vibe. I'm like, dang, bro. You got to break it down. There's some of you in here right now that you need a real miracle. That if it doesn't get done today, that it's not going to, and then here go the lady in the back. And I'm not making fun. I'm telling you what it is. It's real deal. I used to play in it. Now you talk about full-time. I was full-time. I said, close them doors. I was full-time. I had an office. I had my own office. This was when I was under a white pastor and his wife was Mexican. And they brought me in to be the dark spot in the church. They did. I didn't know at the time. I was still programmed and conditioned. And they brought me in as the worship leader. And so I worked full-time. It was a large church, so they could afford to pay me benefits, pay me a salary. But I wasn't just over the praise team. I was over the praise team, anything music related, any conference, 3 days, they would fly me different places, over the children's music, over the youth music. So I had I was doing some stuff. It was a large church, right? And I had my own space. I worked there Monday through Friday, 8 hours a week, except on Wednesday. And then come back and get ready for Bible study. But they still do the envelope so that they can count how many people. And then once they see them other people, we back to blessed, blessed, blessed. We back to that. How long what? They need a Black lady to add soul to the services. That is what it was. It really was. They needed a Black woman to add soul because it was a non-denominational. It was mixed, right? But it wasn't that many dark spots in there, right? So he was a G12 church. Do y'all know what a G12 church is? It was a G12 church. And so when I got there, it was the closest church because we had just moved to that city. We were trying to find a church and we were looking for non-denomination. We didn't want to go to a Black church because we had just all the things, right? Felt so guilty. Like, I got you. And their G12 meaning that he raised up 12 couples to be like leaders in the church, 12 couples. And one was Black and white, right? And the rest were all like white and Hispanic. So when we got there, he was like, maybe they could be one of my 12. And basically he would train you up. You would have special meetings with him. You'd be close to the pastor. You would go to their house and, 12 disciples. That's what it's a G12 church. So then he would raise you up and you would go start another powerhouse church. And then you would go start powerhouse church here. You would go start church here. And so that was his way of like replicating what Jesus did, make disciples and you send them out. The only issue is they didn't like my husband. They didn't like him at the time. And we were only at the church whenever our church would fail and it wouldn't do well, we would go sit up under somebody else. That's how we ended up at Lakewood. That's how we ended up with Dr. Hilliard. And Dr. Hilliard was our spiritual father. And we would meet with him. It's a lot. We were doing a lot in our 20s, right? And then our first Sunday there, we're just guests. He points me out in the guest services and they say, hey, pastor, the pastor wants to meet you. I'm like, okay. I figured he meets everybody. But then it's like, hey, who are y'all? What do y'all do? We told him what we did, why we're there. And then he said, okay, let me tell y'all what he did. I got to tell y'all this. Okay. So that was our first Sunday. You got to hear the story. So that was our first Sunday there. It's a huge church, but it's obvious we're Black, right? There was maybe one other dark spot, couple, boo. But we're guests. We just come in there, right? So when we go back to the guest receptionist, they say the pastor want to meet y'all. So we told him, he's a pastor. We're just on a sabbatical right now. Okay, boom. He said, next Sunday, I want you to read for me. I'm like, what? I want you to read the scripture. You know how they do in the churches, right? So this man, a white man, he has me sit on the second row. This is our second Sunday there. And he says, okay, so when he reads the scripture, so he'll tell the church, turn to Hebrews 13 or whatever. And then I would read it. And then thus said the Lord, I didn't read it like they do in the church. And then God said, cover them now. I didn't read like that, right? I just read regular. But it was like, yeah, you was the reader in your church. Yeah. And so I just read it, whatever scripture, children obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. I didn't read it like they do in the churches. And then the pastor cut them off. And then what did it say? And then let me get it out. I'm trying to get it out, right? So I was just reading it. I'm like, that is so weird. He was trying to groom me though. He was trying to groom me. He was trying to pull me in close. And my ex-husband at the time, he didn't like it. He was like, what about me? Because he's the pastor, right? So anyway, he ended up calling me back there. And he's like, I want you to be the new worship leader, because who they had was unseasoned, older, and he wanted me to bring a different feel. So that's how I ended up working there. And then he goes, I want to have a soul Sunday, one Sunday. And meaning all Black songs. And I want you to bring in, y'all gonna trip when you find out who I brought in. He said, I want you to bring in one of your gospel friends, singers, to come in here and sing for us. And I brought in Zacardi Cortez, right? Because we came out the same group in Houston. Yes, it was called a Soul Sunday. And I want you to bring, sing Jesus, I'll never forget what you've done. Oh, the blood of Jesus. Cultural proper. Yeah. And here I'm thinking, we're young, and I'm thinking, this is what heaven is supposed to look like. Hallelujah. Everyone just rejoicing and serving the Lord together, not just all Black, not just all white. Child's program. Now, let me tell you something. In my defense, okay, we are from Sunnyside, but my parents moved us to the suburbs, and I went to an all-white private Christian school. I've been in the Bible since I was 4, okay? So that ain't my fault. Carolyn, I thought I pulled you up. I thought I sent an invite and pulled you up, right? Yeah. And so I have pictures of myself in a uniform at a Christian school. So that's not fair. Yes, I was code switching in church.
I'm here.
Okay, boom. I was code switching in church. Yes, I was. Okay. And so I was just so excited just to be amongst, but my ex-husband, he wasn't having it. He Kojic. He's like, what the hell is this? Right. And so he started causing a ruckus in the church, like causing mess in the church, because the man would have me, he paid me a salary. Was I getting like $2,000? What's 800 a week? 800, 8 times 4, 8, $2,400 a month, plus insurance. I was getting insurance. It was an easy job. And I had and I just wrote songs and put songs together, right? And taught parts. But he had me there, and he 3,200 for real? 8 times 4 is 3,200. It's the enemy. I said, where did I get 24? Oh, 6 times 4 is 2,400. Stop, nomadics. Stop.
Stop it.
Stop.
Leave him alone.
Stop. Stop. He was not allowing that. Yeah, she knows. Dr. C, she knows my ex-husband very well. She used to go to our church. She was under us. Yeah, so after she left the cult, her and her husband came and sat up under us, so to speak. Yes, the enemy. 8 times 4.
Sat was the word. Sat was the word.
Sat under, yes, you sat under us. Yeah. $3,200. Man, I was making $3,200 a month doing that. Plus benefits. Plus, he would fly me out to different conferences, like all the white people worship conferences, Carrie Job and all the Hill songs and stuff like that. But he wouldn't include my husband because my husband worked for TikTok. He worked for it. And so, but he started making a ruckus. Like, if you're going to fly her out, you need to fly me out. And he was like, why you ain't, he was crazy. He was like, why you ain't got no black preachers on your, and none of your 12. And he had a picture of TD Jakes on the walls because TD Jakes had came through there. But, you know, that's what I was there for. Soul Sunday. So he brought Zacardi. So I called Zacardi. I was like, hey, can you come and do this Soul Sunday with me? He was like, cool. So, you know, do y'all know Zacardi Cortez? Do it for me. The song I don't like. God, I have a problem. And all the runs. Only you can solve. Oh, Lord. Do it. That right there. That song wasn't out at the time. So he came there and he was just, all the runs, child, they loved it. And they came up, Sister Dorian, that was just amazing. We just love, and you could just see him out in the audience, just dropping that hand, trying to stay on beat. Do it for me. Yeah. They were just, yeah, you could just see them out there doing that. I was like, bless their heart. But yeah, so that's how it was. But let me tell you, the difference between being under a white pastor and being in the black church is race, because the bottom line was money there too. If they had money, you got to sit up close and you got to be back there. Now, here's where really how I ended up leaving that church, because my ex-husband wasn't having it. He was jealous, insecure. He started getting that pastor itch. And so he started going to that man and saying, you need to pay my wife more money. He was straight pimping me out. And I wasn't who I am today. 3,200, I'm about to start them lessons back up, right? I wasn't who I am today. So I was very docile. I was just a very type person. I'm just sitting there. And he's like, yeah, if you don't pay her more, I'm going to take her to this missionary Baptist church down the street and they're going to pay her more money. And he was like, well, are y'all struggling or anything? He's like, what you asking about that for? Like, you just need to pay my wife more money. And I'm just sitting there, because when I say good pastor, he wasn't trying to like smacks me and stuff like that. He just wanted a dark spot in the place, and he wanted flavor. And I was anointed, and I could do my thing. Now I can usher in a whole, and you know, I could switch up that environment. I did what I did. So I understand the demand. But then he was like, he asked my ex-husband, he said, are you going to be, no, he asked me, are you going to be okay when you get home? He asked me that in front of him. He's like, what you mean, am I going to be okay? Which he shouldn't have asked that question, because I got the brunt of that when we got home, if you know what I mean. Because when you're a man and you're not flourishing and you're not thriving, you take it out on your woman sometimes. And then if she's coming up in her bag, as you say, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And so he started causing problems. And then when they called me to be one of the 12 and not him, that was really a problem. Meaning they already had 12 couples, but they just wanted me to be, I was already at the church anyway, and they would have their meetings there at the church in the mornings on Thursday morning. So he, you know, they said, just come back here, come out of your office. The first lady, they call them pastors' wives over there. Pastor's wife wants you to come in there with her 12 ladies, and she wants you to be an honorary 12. So I would come in there in the meetings and all that. She did like just basic Bible study. And he was mad because they didn't call him in to be one of the 12. And so he just started causing mess, and we had to end up leaving. Messing up my bag. Carolyn, what you got for us on tonight? You got a word for us on tonight? Yes, that's pretty much what it was. There's no difference between the blacks and the white church, you know, and it's all good. It's all good, because I needed the experience. I needed my eyes open. And then ironically, you know, he would tell me that certain people shouldn't be up there if they look a certain way. He didn't like older people up there. And we got into it because of that. I'm like, I'm not going to tell that lady she too old to be up there, because he wanted a younger look, a younger Hillsong type look. Yeah, so it got pretty bad, and I got up out of there. It's that simple.
These pastors are obsessed with image.
Yeah.
I know mine's was.
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up, guys.
I was in charge of the websites and everything. And because we ran a nonprofit organization, we didn't have a 501c3 on the church, but he started a separate nonprofit organization because we were actually doing like a lot for the community at one point until he switched it to making money all the time.
Right.
But he didn't even want our pictures on the website as far as who the CEO was, who was working there, you know, like pictures of the people who you can get in contact with. He was like, nah, keep that off of there, because if they see that we Black, they ain't gonna give us no grant money. Stuff like that. But all that jealousy you speak of, like earlier I said, I used to tell God, if my husband treats me the way this man treats his wife, I don't want one. Right. It's because he treated her like a child. Yeah. He talked down to her all the time. Yeah. And would get attitudes with her. And she wasn't none of us were allowed to really show emotion. Yeah. So if she showed that she was irritated or frustrated, or if she even slightly elevated her voice, he would lose it. Like, who you think you're talking to? But then you just got done yelling at her. Right. Like, you're the only person allowed to be upset and allowed to pop off, and she just supposed to sit there and take it. Yes. He accused her of sleeping around with other men, and she was faithful to him. Yeah. But, you know, guilty people like to accuse others of the things that they're doing. Right. He was accusing her of, you know, sleeping with other men and cheating on him, but he was texting, you know, women in the church and soliciting sexual favors from them. Of course. Of and course. I know that after I after I got kicked out, things went downhill because I was in charge of basically all of the equipment. And I was the reader. And I read fast. And I can pronounce words because I know how to use phonics. And so they struggled after I left. Of course. And they no longer had access to those websites. Come to find out, he started putting his hands on everybody. Like, he was beating his wife. He was beating the members. Like, he was beating on his cousin. Like, there are police reports against this man for putting his hands on people and pulling weapons on people. It's like, you that starved for control? You need that much control that you got to go this crazy on people? What denomination did you ever tell me? Non-denominational. Right. Like, if you want to be technical about it, I would say apostolic Pentecostal. Yeah. And at this point, you know, collectively, we see what's going on, but people are still giving to these churches. And that's what our message is start there. Start with your money, your time and your resources, but start with your money. Start investing and building in yourself. And then people will come in here and say, well, and Dr. C, you can turn your mic on if you want to share something. People are saying not every church is like that. Not every church is like that. Not every church is like that. Every church is like that. Let me tell you what I'm saying. I say that all the time. Yes. When I first got in, because they would tell me, well, our church isn't like that. And I started going and I fell in love with it. And then I found out the truth. I used to tell people, well, you ain't got to worry about none of that stuff here. Our church isn't like that. It was exactly like that. Right. You say there's a difference in leadership and control. But again, if you are a leader at a church, you taking up money is still the problem. If you're a leader, you're a leader. Just lead. Why do people have to bring their money that they do not have to a church so that it can be split up and divided? And I've done a video and I showed you the example. It's 40 of us on here right now. If all 40 of us was in a room, you know a need? I know one too. I know one. How much you got? How much you got? And we took it straight to the person that had the need. The person's going to get all that money, all those resources. You take it to the building. They got to pay the light bill first,
The pastor first, the musicians first. They have to pay all these things first. Then what's left over? And like somebody else said, some of the food that they're giving away is coming from the food bank anyway. Cut out the middleman. And to be honest, you are the community. You're the one that needs the food, that needs the clothes, that needs these different things. God is supposed to be free. The lie is you bring your money to God. How is he if you telling me that I'm bringing my money to God, I want to give it directly to him, please. And thank you. Show me how to convert this from American money to an ethereal, angelic type form of money. I need him to get it. I know what I'm talking about because I was on staff. I'm telling you how the money works, and y'all know it. It just takes common sense. And the reports that they give you, that's the second report. The first report is where the money's really going. So if they ever get audited or whatever, 50, all the things, we were a 501c3. Then there's a second report that they give you after Wednesday night Bible study to say we're going to have a financial business church meeting to show you that we've been given here, and you have not. And some of it is what they plan to give, but they're going to tell you this is what we're giving. This is all bullshit. And if you are not financially stable, like if something breaks down and you're screwed, why are you still giving your money to a church? Let's talk about the pastor's house note and the car note. You're welcome, Steph. Let me tell you about this. We usually get done at 8, but I guess the spirit is like that lady that was being real cocky one time on my page. My pastor, he don't take no salary. My pastor said he don't take no salary. I said, go ask your pastor what he's doing with the money. And she came back talking about, see, I told you, our overhead is $8,000 and we have 20 people in the church. Now, I don't understand that. That don't make sense that we have 20 people, but we make $8,000. We bring in $8,000, but he don't take a salary. I said, sit down, ma'am, and let me explain to you. He doesn't take a salary because the church is paying for the church is paying for his car note, paying his mortgage, paying all of his bills. Why does he need a salary? You're paying his monthly expenses. And then you take up a love offering or a shepherd's offering so he can have a little extra something to spend. What's the bill of lad? I don't know what lad is. I'm sorry. The reciprocity will take care of the building. That's why I gave to whoever source guides me to, period. And why not just trust God, Pastor, to take care of the vision? Because you said God called you. You said God, well, then that's between you and God. When the bills need to be paid, that's between you and God. You can, but some of them will lie and say, well, I don't have to do that because we're 501c3. You can request it. Go request it and see what they say. I'm not saying that you, but I'm talking about anybody else. You can. Some will give you a report. That doesn't mean it's the right or true report. And some, even if they give you the true report and they tell you, yes, you're paying my Benz note, you're paying my light bill, you're paying my kids' tuition, that should still piss you off. Your son gets to go to a private night school, and mine over here, their books are all ate up by rats. Yeah. Your child gets to go to this type of school and go to dance lessons. The dance lessons one, that's a real one. The same pastor that told us to eat bologna sandwiches, give all that you can, even if you have to eat bologna this week. And I'm on the piano like, God dog it, I don't like bologna, but that's what I got to do in order to give. And then I see him posting the picture of the fish platter at Papados, and then I see his wife posting her daughter taking dance classes. And my daughter was the same age. I'm like, I want to put my daughter in dance classes. She got a little ballet, just twirling, and just posting pictures like that. She didn't work. Where you getting the money for that from? Anyways, we ready to benedict? And my husband, he's right there. He's up there. My good people. He was a minister in the church. His dad is currently a pastor. So yes, he's deconstructed and been told he's going to hell, need psych eval, all kind of things, right? And one time he had preached at this church and they were going to pay him. They told him to come back and get his money. So when he went back there, they were about to hand him the envelope. but the deacon opened it up, took some money out, and then gave him the rest. And he's looking like, what? All that was raised for me, but okay. Yeah. I don't even know what the big problem is. When pastors, I mean, I know what it is, but it's like I'm literally telling pastors that Black families, anybody else it applies to, but Black families should not be giving into a church when they don't have substantial savings. They can't fund another family for at least a day, 2 days, 3 days. If they don't have investment portfolios, gardens, or whatever they need to survive if something happens, because something will always happen, meaning some kind of virus or something that comes up. Black families, this is why we collectively are not where we should be, because of the church. Let me tell you something. This is how I'll let you go and say, this is how Empty the Pews, Empty the Pockets started. This is how I end up writing it. Because somebody in these comments came to me and said, I like your deconstruction page. Have you ever thought about writing a book? I said, I've already wrote 2. What you want me to write it about? And she said, I want you to write about what is holding the Black church back. I started writing that day. 6 months later, it was out just 2 months ago. The church should be teaching that. And the pastors can't teach that. I speak on that too. The pastors can't teach about financial literacy because they're financially illiterate. They buy buildings and they buy land that they can't afford, and then they put the burden of it to be paid for by the people. So they can't teach anything on finance. Go ahead, Galen. You're about to say something, Gay? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I said, you telling the truth. You are telling the truth. That man, because I can't even say his name. I call him that man. That man, my former pastor, he would talk all the time about how well God was providing everything. Like the building that we moved into, because we used to be in the city. Like I'm in Illinois. We used to be in the city in Chicago. And I guess at the time it was a little old lady who stayed, their house was adjoined to the church.
Mm-hmm.
And she only charged like so much. So it was like $200 a month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the building he moved us to in Indiana, he kept telling us, well, the bills here and the utilities and everything is like $5,000. But none of y'all are giving enough in order to cover none of that. But God provides every single time. Like, I don't know where he was getting that money from. He wasn't getting it from us, but he was still taking up offerings.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there was at least maybe, besides his wife, because her business was actually up and running. I worked for her, which was a cleaning company. But besides her, maybe one other person, however they was getting their money, whether it was Social Security or anything, would give above and beyond like what they should have given,
Mm-hmm.
which was crazy because they was always struggling. But all of us was like that because we didn't know better.
Mm-hmm.
I got hit by a car
while
riding my bike to work one day because my car was in the shop. I'm riding my bike. I'm actually coming back from work. And it wasn't that bad, but the lady, both of us stopped because she was coming out and she saw me and both of us stopped. And we decided to move at the same time she hit me. The check for that accident came a year later, almost a year later.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had a very specific way I wanted to spend that money. Repairs for my car, rent, and to invest in the advertising business that I had with my business partner. And, I needed upgrades to my computer stuff that I would be able to use to pay for these websites he wanted, because he wanted us to have like an Amazon website, but for like renting vehicles and dumb crap like that, money making scheme. So I got that money. I got the check and I had put it in to deposit it. And they told me it was going to take like 3 days to clear because it was $6,000.
Come on.
And
make it a little shorter.
I informed him and I let him know I got plans for this money and I wanted to talk to him about it first. He never let me talk to him about it, but he dogged me from the time I sent that message. Where my money at? Where my money at? Where my money at? And because he wouldn't let me tell him what I was going to use it for, I ended up giving him that full $6,000. And I didn't have anything to repair my car with, to pay my rent with, none of that.
Right.
But he wanted his money so bad, money that I couldn't afford to give. He got a whole $6,000 from me.
Now, so listen, wake up. No, churches are not funded by the government for some reason. And Dr. Carolyn, I want you to close us out if you want to share. That's why we have to know about business structure, so we understand. She is the business structure person.
Because some of the conversations around the business, we have to understand so that we can defend ourselves in a proper way. Because some of the talk, like they're not supposed to get paid, whatever. If it's a business structure and it's structured as a nonprofit, there's a salary structure in that. So how it should work, if we're going to talk about just take the Bible and throw it out, the church is essentially a membership. And a membership where people go and they allegedly get taught, just like school.
Did we lose you? Did we lose you? Dr. C?
And so a part of the membership, instead of them saying, hey, these are your membership fees, they mask it with offering and tithe to trick people into paying. But how it's supposed to work is if you are a member of a church, you're supposed to pay a fee to the church to keep the membership open. And as a facilitator of the membership, that person gets paid. So nonprofit does not mean that the person doesn't get paid. What it means is that the money can't come to the bottom line and the business itself cannot make a profit. And if we understood this, that would stop us in our tracks when we go to tithe and they say our church is a nonprofit, you need to tithe to keep the church open. No, you need to structure membership dues and do fundraisers and make sure that you have sponsors to be able to keep the doors open. It's not the members in the seat. It is actually the board who's supposed to be facilitating that. And so whenever a pastor came to me, he's like, oh, you should be tithing. No, I pay my membership dues. And he's like, what dues? My offering, but you didn't set a price to it. So I set my own price to it, which was $5 a week when I came around that collection plate. And until you give me an invoice showing me that this is how much I owe for membership, I'm not paying offering or tithes. So you have to be educated in these things so that we are not saying to these pastors like, oh, because you're taking a salary. Well, they're supposed to because they're running a nonprofit and they can't bring money to the bottom line. But what we have to tell them is that stop lying to people about what they should be paying for, because you're essentially running a nonprofit with members and you're charging your members fees and you are responsible for going out. Now, if they're a charitable organization, that means that they take only donations and they're not supposed to take a salary. So we have to know the difference between charitable and nonprofit. And there are a lot of organizations like NAM that are charitable organizations and their overall mission is to just give back. But what churches want to do is talk charity, but structure as a nonprofit, which is a contradiction in itself. So before you go, like we have to understand this business structure so that we can stand our ground and say, no, what you're talking about is a charitable cause and not a nonprofit. And you're a nonprofit church, which means that you're taking a salary, which means that you're charging me a membership fee, which means that you should have sponsors and people bringing it in. And it's not the sole member's responsibility to keep the roof over our head.
And
So,
now she want me to give her offering because she didn't spoke as a guest speaker. How much we got to pay you for that? What's your honorarium? This don't make no sense. That's my girl right there.
We have to,
That's the bestie.
My former pastor created a separate charity and ran it by the church rules. Yeah, you can't do that kind of stuff. That's actually against the law. And that's why the feds be all up in these churches' businesses, especially large churches. And then you'll see them doing some type of big cause to give back because they know that they're not supposed to be collecting the way that they're supposed to be collecting. So I work with churches and structuring their business. And I make them very clear that I don't believe in this stuff, but I can tell you how to best structure it so that you don't have to pay as many taxes.
Right.
And they come to me as a business, not as a charitable organization that want to help people.
Right.
So you guys should know that before you go pay them.
They said put your Cash App in the comments. I'm serious. I've known her for 28 years. She's the real deal. Seriously.
Has it been that? Don't be giving away my age.
I've known you for 28 years. Yes, I have. And somebody asked, aren't churches government funded? No, they're member funded. And your PayPal too. Put it in there.
Okay, so it depends on how your church is structured. There are some churches that are government, they get government funding
For having a
because
school.
they are a 504c3.
Yeah.
But they are not totally funded by the government. There are some Catholic churches that are, because police officers and people of the state have to have their services and funerals there. And so they get a government funding for the church. But notice those popes ain't trying to tell people to pay their tithe. They can care less if you pay or not, because they're going to get their paycheck anyway. And so that's
right.
It's supposed to roll.
Yes,
so,
she said there's called a free will church. And then, like, if you have a school, like you have a school day, because I worked at a church where I was the worship leader on Sunday and Wednesday, and then throughout the week I was the music teacher at their private school. So, and then somebody said, well, how do churches survive off of 10 members? Well, it's not like it's a mega big church and there's 10 members. If you got 10 members in the storefront, go ahead.
If you had 10 members in the church, number one, you should charge membership fees. And then number two, you as the president of the church, aka the pastor, you should be soliciting funds from the community to bring in that money, not going to your members, because your members are there for the benefit, not for them to keep. So if you charge me $10 to be a member of, the school community, Dorian charged for a school community, I'm gonna come in there and I'm gonna pay my money for her school community. But if she start coming at me talking about, well, Carolyn, you gotta help me pay our rent and our bills, I'm gonna back this community, because that's not my business. My business is to give you this $20 or this $99 to stay inside of the membership. And so as it's her job to find other sources of funding, because she is the president of this organization, that's aka the pastor. They're the president. So it's a business structure, and they're running a membership to educate people on the book that they chose. I run a membership to educate people on the Miracle Morning and business structure. That's our Bible. We got a business Bible over here. And so people pay for that service. I'm their pastor. Pastor Dr. C. And so I'm teaching them and schooling them on their business. And so, but I cannot make my personal things their responsibility, because that's not what they signed up for.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and let me drop some business cash apps.
Put your cash. I'm serious. Put your cash app in there. That's where you give an offering. When somebody feeds you and gives you something that you can actually use. That's the book they chose. Come on. Anything else before we leave? You attended, they have $40 for lunch. Yes. For sure. We'll be back Monday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. She's the real deal. I've known her for a long time, and she'll get you right, especially if you're in business. All she does is work with schools and churches, because those churches have schools. Yes, churches are the same social order. They know when to. And here's the thing about it. Out of all of that, it's just when they tie God into it and they say you have to give me, you have to do this in order to be right with God. When, like she said, let's just have a membership. When you need something, you should be able to come here and get it. It could be done right, but it's too many greedy people that want to flex and show that they got a Benz and they got a rolly roll, and they're doing it big. It's can't do right. But I appreciate y'all for being here. Transparency, for sure. Her Cash App is $Style It Up Boutique, for sure. And you can get merch, empty the pews, empty their pockets. And let me tell you something from our website. If you have any kind of gift, anything you can do, monetize it. Every other race does it. And I've said it before, you can't go to a country without going down the street, without somebody putting something in your face. You buy this, buy this. You need this, buy this. I made this out of goat hair and your hair too. Buy it. But we over here, oh, you selling a book? Your pastor be selling, okay. Your pastor sells hope, and you put your money into that. False hope at that. You're welcome. Thank y'all for hanging, and we're gonna leave. We'll be back. But yeah, you need to monetize it. Monetize whatever you do. Find a way. Have multiple streams of income. Your pastor won't tell you that. Somebody told me today that their pastor said he said he's not gonna be able to be there because he has a job interview in another state, and he said that he prays that everything he does fails. Where was that at? In one of these comments, one of these lives. When is the next meeting? Monday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, but I will be going live on my manifestation page. That's when I've been typing from, this page. And I'll let y'all know when I'll be 7 streams of income, at least. I've got 5. And I got 2 in my head. I've got 5 streams of income right now. I manifested that. And that's what we talk about. That's what we do. It's not just about talking about churches, and I love it. We need to release those stories, but I like to talk about solutions. I like to talk about where do we go from here? It's one thing to deconstruct, but you also have to get into the business of reconstructing your life. If you have your own business, I have tools. Dr. Carolyn has tools. She's a beast with it. Okay. She gets these schools right in Texas. She's all over Texas. Follow her page, get on there and get the information you need. Multiple streams of income is what it's called. Yeah. People call it strains. Some people call it streams. Yes, sir. And we've been the besties 28 years building business after coming out of church. And that's what it's all about. And if you feel like, man, I wasted all that money in the church, money is energy. Money can come back to you. You attract it. That's what I talk about, attracting it and aligning to it and getting that church out of you. Because some of you are out of church, but the church is still in you, meaning you still have low mind thinking. I'm just a worm. I'm just a nothing before you. Oh God. You know, when are your manifesting class again? I did a little brief one today when I was just doing a test. I'm gonna let y'all know when the schedule is to manifest. That's on my channel. Just make sure you're following this page. It's Intuitive Intentions. Send me a message, Instagram and YouTube, and I'll type it to you. I already got content up there and videos up there to get you started, but we don't play about it. Once you leave the church, now your life is in your hands. The responsibility for your health, your finances, you can't blame pastor. You can't blame God because he fails. We talked about that when we first started. Yes, I'm just a grasshopper in your eyes, oh God. I remember that one too. I'm just a lowly worm, but I'm just the filthy saliva scales of the bottom of your feet, oh God. And then you come out of the church and you try to manifest. And that's the core of you. So we reprogram. You reprogram your mind. So much love to all of you. Amen. Thank y'all so much. Have the best night ever. When are we coming back? I'll be coming on here random, but our set services are Monday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time and Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, when they should be in boring Bible study and not messing with us. That's right. Reprogram. See you later. Thank you, Eddie, for hanging. Get right, church, leave us alone. Oh, get right, church, leave us alone. That's our benediction song. Get right, church, get right, church, get right, church, leave us alone. Yes. What's the name of your other account? I'm typing from it right now in the box. This page. I'm sorry to hit it. This page. Intuitive Intentions. I teach you how to set intentions every single day based on your intuition. You don't have to wait for a pastor. Let me give y'all, okay, give me something and I'll give y'all an example real quick. Give me a number 1 through 31. First number, straight up, first number. Get right, church, get right, church, get right, church, leave us alone. Okay, 22, 29, 25. Okay, boom. I'll just take those numbers. Since we got time, that's it. That's all I'm gonna take. 22. All right, give me a topic that you want to manifest in. It could be manifestation and abundance. It could be health, entrepreneurship, whatever. 22, 25, and 29. Health, entrepreneurship, love, just general mindset. I'll just do general mindset for day 22, and I'll give y'all an example of how we do what we do. Get right, church. These are in TikTok shop, and they're also on my website. Day 22. Oh, this is so good. It's my favorite one. And y'all gonna hit on all of them. Let me make sure y'all can see. Can y'all see? All right. I'm sorry, I didn't took Instagram off. Oh well. YouTube is here. Okay, boom. Make sure y'all can see. It might not be flipped for y'all though. I honor and acknowledge every manifestation that unfolds in my life daily. None are too small to recognize how powerful I truly am. What does this mean? That means when you're manifesting anything in life, nothing is too big and nothing is too small. If you see a dime on the floor and you've been manifesting abundance, you need to pick that dime up. Okay. If somebody sends you $10, somebody sends you a coin on TikTok, it doesn't matter. You need to be grateful for that manifestation. Honor and acknowledge every manifestation. I'm rushing through it, but we work this thing and I show you how to apply it to your life, right? Since you're, let me see, I'm sorry, I got my armpit in y'all's face. Abundance and health. Okay, boom. Let's do, so honor it, every manifestation. And when I say nothing is too big or too small, if you say, I want to manifest $5,000 by my birthday in November, you can't look at 5,000 like it's a big number. It's just energy. It's just like $5. But when you make it big, then you create a block for yourself that prevents you from manifesting it. That's why people say, by this time next year, I'm going to make $1 million next year. You put it off because you think $1 million is too much to make in 30 days. Baby, we don't play when it comes to manifesting. Come on. What's the next one? 25. Let's do health. Day 25, and then we'll do abundance. Health, optimal health. 25. Boom shakalaka. All right. Being present and in this moment is a mental ease hack that I practice daily. I focus on doing the best at what I'm doing in the moment. I complete tasks thoroughly, I watch TV wholeheartedly, and I spend time with loved ones attentively. What does this mean? It means that when you're manifesting health, sometimes you have health issues, even mentally and even in your body, because you're trying to do too many things. Be present, be in the moment. That's why you be stomping your toe. That's why you be running over nails. That's why you always be doing something, because you're trying to do too many things at once. Be present in the moment of what you're doing. That's just a prime example. Let me give you another one. I'm feeling another one, this one, and then we'll do abundance. Stop it. It's the enemy. Let's do this one. Oh, this is a good one. I love this one. If you have an illness in your body, speak to your body. My body regenerates, restores, and replaces tissues, organs, and cells necessary for me to maintain optimal health. I trust that my body is healing at all times. I rest knowing that I am feeling better and better each day. This is what you need to be speaking and saying to yourself. And here's what people do. They'll come in there and they'll talk to you, girl, I got the gout, I got this, my doctor say this, and you're repeating and repeating the reality. Okay, this is a whole different energy when I'm over there. You can even tell I'm already shifting into what we do. You speak to your body. I know what the doctor said, great. You take what they said, now you start speaking to your body. You start researching what the sickness and the disease is. You start studying where this may have come from. What is it tied to? IBS is tied to fear. I dealt with the fear, got rid of the IBS. Allergies are tied to anxiety. I got rid of the anxiety. Of course, when you leave the church, I got rid of that. Shrunk my fibroids, dealt with emotional issues. Okay. My body, speak to your body. Body, I love you. We have a great relationship. Regenerate yourself, whatever the cell is. Okay. I'm kind of rushing through. Let's do one for abundance. You know what? I'm going to do 2 for abundance. I'm going to do 29 and I'm going to do my very favorite one, which is day 1. Ooh, yeah. This ain't the right one. I said abundance. Child. What do we say? Day 29? Let's go to day 29. And that's when I start getting real hot. Oh, this is a good one. Okay, we're not going to do that one. Oh, this is a good one. And it's going to go with my favorite one. Okay. Oh, I love this one. It does not matter my age, race, gender, the political climate. Hold up. Something to turn around. It does not matter my age, race, gender, or the political climate, or if it's the 1st or the 15th. Money and I always dwell together. I send it out and it always comes back home from various resources and with ease. Instead of working hard for it, I now rest in financial overflow. Why do we say this? Because, girl, you got to work hard to get that kind of money. Money comes to me with ease. Money comes to me easily. You have to align to it. You have to put that energy and that frequency out, because nobody in the universe is telling you no, but you. Nobody's telling you no. And you don't have to wait till Sunday to sow your seed to get the money back. Boom. Money comes to me easily. We have a great relationship. I have a wholesome relationship with money. And it doesn't matter your age, girl, only 50-year-old, 60-year-old. It doesn't matter if it's the 1st or the 15th. Oh, that's only for white people, only white people. It doesn't matter your race, your gender, the climate, like that pastor said on Saturday, talking about, oh, my people are suffering because the economy is tight. I prosper and I flourish in every economy. Matter of fact, I create my own economy. All right. I send it out. And it always comes back to me. Man, my tire bust. I had to spend $75. You had to or you got to. I had $75 to spend to get my tire fixed. It's a different mindset, right? And here's my very favorite one. Okay, before we get up out of here. Whew. Every day is payday. I get paid from various sources. The only thing fixed about my income is that it is continual, ever increasing, multiplying, and expanding. Money circulates back to me. What does this do? The reason I start with this one when I'm teaching manifestation abundance is because people always say that. I only get paid on the 1st and the 15th. Hey, girl, you want to go here and do this? What's up, man? You want to do this? Man, I only get paid on the 1st and the 15th. So what you're saying is anything that wants to come to you between those days, you just blocked it because you said, and you know, if you came out of church, you have what you say, right? That's what you said, that you have whatsoever you say, you speak it into existence. And so if you